It is not right that there is a conflict and you withdraw from your partner. It's not right. You are just setting the stage for the enemy to step in. The more you delay on resolving conflicts, the harder it is for you to actually resolve it. There are no persons that are the same. And in fact, you cannot marry your type. It will be a boring marriage. So when we talk about this, a lot of people want to say, it's because we are not compatible. That's why we cannot marry. We don't have the same styles of managing conflict. It's not true. There's no two persons that have the same style of managing conflict that are married to each other. It is not compatibility that is the issue when people have conflict and cannot resolve it. It's not because they are not compatible. It's because they have held on to their self and to their pride. One of the foundational truths you have to both agree on as a couple. It is us against whatever is coming. It is us against sickness. It is us against poverty. It is us against every spiritual attack. It is us against whatever is coming against us. We will never come to this point where it will not be it's your fault. Men also go through abuse, not just women. They'll sexually abuse the man in the sense that they know his need and they know how to come to them for the need. And they are waiting at that junction. I will show you that. That's an abuse. And that's what some people use to actually make their points clear and known that I am angry. That's why I am not giving in.
Thank you so much, Pastor Sarah, for joining us. We are really honored to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, so before we go into what we're supposed to talk about today, I feel like one of the reasons why I feel honored to have you here is because I've noticed that in the body of Christ, there are certain topics that we don't really talk about in church. And that's why I really appreciate this space. Beyond being the host, beyond being a member of Eden TV team, I appreciate the fact that we're getting to talk about certain things that believers need to be aware of, but they are not taught about it in church. Okay, so today we are talking about dealing with conflict in relationships. So, how I would like for us to open this conversation is for you to tell us what conflicts really are in relationships.
All right, thank you very much. Conflicts in relationship often stem from disagreements, arguments, and misconceptions or misunderstanding between two persons. When we talk about conflicts in relationship, it could be as um, relationship between a father and a daughter or a father and a son, family relationship within siblings, and even church relationship between brethren. We are not just focused on the romantic aspect of dating relationships or friendships or marriage relationship as well, because many times when you talk about relationship, everybody is more focused on marriage, more focused on friendships, but their relationship between co-workers and conflict is not selective to just romantic relationship. We need to master how to resolve conflicts in all our relationships. So yeah, conflict resolution as it is, it's something that is often sidelined. Like people don't pay attention to it a lot, and it is one of the greatest skill as a human being that you can actually have. It's a great skill because it's just like learning how to communicate, learning how to probably cook, learning how to sew, everything that you call a skill, the way you learn it, that's how you ought to also learn how to resolve conflict in relationship, because that is more or less like a management skill for relationships.
Okay, so I think I would like for us to speak about conflict resolution in the concept or in the context of marriageable relationships. So, probably between couples or two people who are planning to get married. So, I want to know, do you see conflict as something, because oftentimes conflicts are usually misconstrued, especially in the Christian circle, we see it as something that is a very bad thing. But then I want to know, do you see it as something that makes for growth or is something that leads to a failure? How do you see it?
um it actually depends on how it is being managed. Conflict can either lead to growth or to dissolving a relationship. And so, in the Christian field or Christian community as well, When we talk about relationship that leads to marriage or marriage itself, conflict resolution is something that leads to growth, not to dissolving the relationship. Because I have this strong belief that um, as a Christian, with whoever you choose to go into a relationship with, leading to marriage, you have your solid conviction, and conflict is not a sign that you have a failing relationship. Conflict is actually a sign that you are blending together to be understood, to learn from each other, to build stronger bond within each other. And so conflict in a Christian relationship or a Christian community is stemming onto growth, not the other way around.
Okay. So there's this story about a couple and in their relationship or when they just got married because they're coming from different homes. So when they wake up in the morning, the wife will take the toothpaste and press it from the bottom. And then the man will just come and just press it from the middle. So something as little as that, they were always arguing and quarreling about it. So I want to know, these people, they were actually sincere. It's not like they were saying from a place of pride, but this one is like, this is not how to do this thing, and this other one is like, there's no problem with what I'm doing. So why do these conflicts keep repeating themselves, especially when the people involved are really sincere?
It's a common thing. That particular scenario is a common thing. It's something that's still happening with partners and married couples as well. Because even me myself, I every day I have to consciously tell myself it's no big deal. Like I just fit to how I want it, and the next day I'll meet it how I don't. So it's understanding what you are arguing about, what is causing the disagreement, and um, addressing the issue, not actually attacking or blaming the person. That's what would actually help such conflict to be resolved. When it keep resurfacing, is because either there is avoidance from a particular party, maybe one of the partners are avoiding that communication, and so the other has to keep like accommodating, taking in. And so each time it becomes a big deal because there is no resolution to it. They didn't resolve that issue. They didn't come to agreement. When you have a conflict, it doesn't go just because you had it before and both of you argued. You argued and you come to the point of, okay, this argument is okay. Let's just move on. Conflicts don't resolve itself by moving on. It's actually resolved by certain steps that are being taken, coming from the point of listening to your partner, understanding why they do what they are doing that seemingly look like offensive to you, to your person, right? If you understand why they are doing what they are doing, you bring perspective together, then you can resolve it and it won't resurface,
Yeah.
right? But if you don't resolve the issue, it will keep coming up. No matter how, sincerity is not what plays in the place of conflict resolution.
I really like what you said about identifying the root cause because many times people just engage in conflict without actually taking time to understand where this person is coming from versus where I'm coming from and how we can just find a blend. So I really appreciate that, Ma. So the next thing I'd like for us to talk about is communication and tone because in relationships sometimes they don't necessarily have to get physical before they have a conflict, and sometimes if you check the cause of this conflict it is because of something they said. But when you listen to this thing they said, on a normal day, it shouldn't cause any problem. But because of how it was said, I'll give an instance. So some maybe in a story, a man and his wife are quarreling, and then the man is like, "How? Why did you do it like this?" And then the woman is like, "Why did you do it like this?" So that kind of tone can just lead to a conflict from there. So how is tone important in avoiding conflict, settling conflict, and all of that?
Well, I would say tune actually is more important than the point you are trying to make when it comes to conflict resolution. The tune, the tone in which you approach the matter, the reactions that you give when that person does what he does to you actually is more of an offense than the actual offense.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you an example. There was a time I was getting angry at somebody for doing something, and that person was getting angry for my own reaction. And in my head, I'm like, can you listen to yourself? Like, why will you be angry
At my
reaction, not looking
yeah,
at
you are the
what
one
you
causing the
actually did
problem.
that is making me react?
React that
But
way.
that's the human status, right? What leads to this kind of scenario is the ideology of what actually causes conflict. The book of James told us, he said, why do you fight among yourself? Is it not as a result of your own lustful desires? So it is self that usually brings about conflicts. I do something to you, you feel threatened. Your personality is strengthened.
Your ego is
Yes,
tampered
your
with.
ego is tampered with. You feel insulted, and that's why you are reacting. And so, if we want to have um, a resolved conflict, the tone at which we communicate is highly important, because even in the book of Proverbs says there's a way you speak that actually would
A
bring,
soft answer
yes, a
turns
soft
away wrath.
answer turns away wrath, but a foolish one can stir up.
Up anger.
Did you understand it now? So this is one of the places that I've seen a lot of people actually miss it out. This is what makes relationship unresolvable, conflicts unresolvable, leading to a dissolving of relationship because of this identity of, oh, I need to make my point, I need to state the facts, I need to say my mind as I'm feeling it. When it comes to conflict resolution, you have to be intelligent emotionally. You have to be emotionally intelligent. First and foremost, putting yourself in that person's shoes. Okay, try to hear that person through your own
Yes.
ears. Like, if this person and I come with this defense, how would I react to it? So that space of time that you use to have a self-reflection will give you a better way of communication. It happens to me a lot of times. Sometimes I'm tensed up, like I'm really angry,
Angry.
and I will just come to myself and say, Holy Ghost, help me. How do I handle this issue? Because I really want to say my mind, but I know if I say my mind, a lot of things will actually go sour. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't want to misrepresent you. And so at this junction now, you have to help me. And so many times like that, it just happens that the Holy Ghost will tell you, calm down. When you keep quiet, there's a self-reflection that would now give you an idea of how to approach this person. Many times we don't listen to what people are saying that we are in conflict with, because we are defending ourselves. And so that brings us to a place of, I'm the one who is hot here, I'm the one who is right. So whatever you are saying, you are not as righteous, so to say. You don't have the right as much as I do,
You're no
because
more right
yes,
than I am.
because you caused this whole issue. But that's not the case. A soft answer actually turns away wrath. So yes, the tone is one of the most important way of as resolving conflict, because no matter what you have to say, even if you say I forgive you, the way you say it will determine if the person will receive that statement as a forgiveness or as a another route to guilt, like to fight. There are times that there are times that you feel that, oh, you are telling the person it's not a problem, and the person is like, why are you not giving me attitude to telling me it's not a problem? You caused this whole thing. Why? Like, but there's a way you communicate that it's not a problem. I'm good, and it ends there.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I really like what you said there about, because somehow it has given premise for my next question, in the sense that sometimes in the heat of our emotions we just want to say our mind without even considering the next person's emotion. So we see that sometimes in conflicts, during when couples are having conflicts, there is this tendency to shift from we to me, such that they were arguing that we used to do this thing like this before, but now we're no longer doing like this. And then in the heat of that argument, they now shift from we. But the next person will now be like, ah, after all, I am even the one paying the house rent. I am the one. So we will now see that conflicts that started between two people that are supposed to be one now ends up having both of them as opponents. So how do couples approach conflict in such a way that they are not opponents, but they are still one. They just have a misunderstanding, so they are not fighting against each other per se. How do they handle that?
Well, I would say first and foremost, it has to start from the foundation of the relationship, knowing that they're a team. No matter what happens, it is it is us against whatever is coming. It is not
Individual,
I,
I.
I, I. There are many times that couples are in a lot of issues, right? And it might be that it's just one party that is responsible for what happens. But the strength of the conversation of we in the comments or in the statement, it gives that person a sense of belonging, that it waters down whatever flame or fire is trying to burn up to destroy the relationship they are having. So it is possible, but it starts from the very onset of your relationship. It's more like one of the foundational truths you have to both agree on as a couple. It is us against whatever is coming. It is us against sickness. It is us against poverty. It is us against every spiritual attack. It is us against whatever is coming against us. We will never come to this point where it will not be it's your fault. For example, a couple invested in a business, and probably the wife is always usually more sensitive in issues like that. Men are risk takers. Wife will calculate a lot. Wife might say, this is not a good deal, please
Don't do
don't do
it.
it. And the man will look at it and say, this life is a risk. And he goes on and do it. And boom, everything melts down. It will be wrong for the wife to come at that point now and be saying,
I
I
told
told
you.
you, this is your fault. We are in this mess now. That can stem up a conflict that will not be resolved in
Amicably.
in the marriage. It can be a root part where it will just
They
lead to
just break.
separation, because many other things will keep coming. I told you not to do this. I told you. Every slight provocation will lead back to that conversation of, this is
Yeah.
how I said you should not do it, and
This
you
is
still did
and
it.
now see where
So
we are.
there are many conflicts that are actually rooted in old conflicts or that are unresolved. And so because they're both of them are not on the same page, or they don't put themselves on the same team, they begin to fight each other unconsciously. And so that brings about conflict upon conflict continuously. So
Okay.
yes, they have to be on the same team. They have to consciously tell themselves that they are a team.
Okay. I think you said something about conflict stemming from old unresolved conflicts, and we've seen that in some relationships, because of these many old unresolved conflicts, they just have this very stale relationship.
Mm.
And then there are some couples that when they have a conflict, because of the different conflict styles that they have, the matter always stays unresolved. For instance, in a home now, the way the man knows how to resolve conflict is just keep malice. Just don't talk to the wife for a couple of days, and then after you now just come and play small and just feel like, I beg, let's brush everything under the carpet. But then the woman is somebody that we must solve this thing out. But then the man doesn't want to say anything. So in that kind of relationship, how do they manage different conflict styles and still get to resolve the issue?
Well, I'll still point it down to the cause of conflict in the first place. There are actually two primary cause of conflict. I mentioned one earlier, which I said it's self. The second is pride. So if we are talking about styles of resolving conflicts, like there are different ways people manage conflicts. As an individual, you've grown for over 20 years of your life and you have mastered this art. So it's not fair that you get married and the other partner is expecting you to just switch
Change
camp.
over time.
It doesn't work that way. But what works is killing the plant of conflict, killing it from its root, which is pride and self. If both parties can take a stand that it is more about my partner, not about me, you realize that in such a home, conflict will be minimal and will not even last hours. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I'm married for 3 years now. By April will be 4 years. We have not kept um, an argument or a misunderstanding for 24 hours in my house. It doesn't work. I'm this type that, let's talk about this. My husband is this type that we can just allow these things slide. Like, my husband is somebody that it can just happen that there's a conflict, and when you tell him this, he'll just say, okay, I'm sorry, let it just die, let it just end.
Mm.
You understand? But I, over time, I realized that that's not the best way to um actually handle it from both sides. Because one, my own side is less discussed, his side is avoidance. Anything that will cause problem, let's
Let's
avoid
avoid it.
it. Avoidance is not the best part in resolving conflicts. That is the cost of conflicts resurfacing again and again. It is when they both are taking the route of the style of, let's avoid anything that will cause problem, let's just avoid it. Okay, now if I know going out of the door would cause conflict, instead of discussing it with my partner, I have to go out. What can we do so that it will not become an issue? Then you decide not to go, or you sneak out. And when it comes, you are just like, you begin to find other things to, cover up the conversation. Men actually do that a lot. It's not because I'm a lady and I'm here talking to a lady, no, but these are traits that I've seen with a lot of men. They just want to find something else to replace the conversation, even when you bring it up. And so, yes, when you get married and you have this kind of issue to handle, where one party is, let's discuss it now, the other party is, let's just hold up. Maybe we'll talk about it some other time. It is good that we both compromise from our end of extremes, because it's more or less like, this is me coming from this extreme that as it hot, let's talk about it. And this is my husband from this end that, we can actually not even disturb ourselves. Let's just allow this in, or let's talk
Finish.
about it much later. So
Mm.
it is only wisdom that we both leave our comfort zone to come to the middle. This is understanding that this is how my partner is. So on my own side, as it's boiling inside of me, I'll tell myself, calm down. It's actually going to be better. We'll talk about it later. Nothing will spoil. You understand? Aside that, the ego and the pride would have,
Dissipated.
yeah, it would have dissipated. All the fire flames of quarrel would have died down. You understand? So that's the wisdom of God. There are no two persons, let me quickly say that there are no two persons that are the same. And in fact, you cannot marry your type. It will be a boring marriage.
Very boring.
Yes. So when we talk about this, a lot of people want to say, it's because we are not compatible. That's why we cannot marry. We don't have the same styles of managing conflict. It's not true. There's no two persons that have the same style of managing conflict that are married to each other. I don't know how God did it, but it just happens. The opposite attracts. You cannot marry your type. People will not stay in that marriage. So it is not compatibility that is the issue when people have conflict and cannot resolve it. It's not because they are not compatible. It's because they have held on to their self and to their pride.
They don't want to learn.
They don't want to let go. They are holding on to their self, they are holding on to their pride. You did this to me. When you start personalizing things, it becomes more hurtful. You took my phone, you slapped me, you did not lock the door to the toilet, as
As
trivial
little
as
as
that.
that is.
Yeah. Like, why is the toilet seat always up? I've begged you. It's crazy the things that couples actually quarrel about at
Yeah.
home. It's crazy. Toothpaste, the door is not locked properly, and the toilet
The
seat is
light
not,
is on while
yes,
we're
you're
sleeping.
not flushing well. The toilet is, the towels are not placed in the right position. Your shoe is not, like, crazy. But it becomes a real toxic issue that leads to, we are not compatible, let's just go our separate ways. That's what's leading to numerous divorces in our generation, because we are holding on to our self-image too much. It's like our Christian lifestyle doesn't affect the carnal man that is inside
Mm.
of us. Because if carnal man is dead, then it is the selfless life of Christ that will be embodied inside of you. And that one now will not tell you that this is my style of resolving conflict and we must go by this way. It actually lays down its own life so that the other can actually thrive. So when you lay down your life, your ego, your pride, so that the other person can have a more understanding um, environment to grow into what you're expecting, you will see that growth, and that person will also what step up for you to also enjoy that same privilege. So marriage is actually a chain reaction. It is when it comes to these styles of a thing. If you want to see conflict resolved, don't hold on to your own style of it. Just give that person the time they need. Then you bring it up in a more truthful and tactic way, and you'll see that it will be resolved without any hurt. It will be resolved.
Honestly, I like something you said about your husband, how that he likes to avoid, or okay, let me put it this way. You said something about avoidance in relationship. And I think this issue of avoidance is one of the reasons why couples actually break up.
Yeah.
Because from feeling like, okay, let's just avoid this whole thing, the other one will not be like, you know what, I think we need to just have a space for ourselves. And then before you know, in the process of having a conflict, they are like, let's just stop. And sometimes it's possible that they can even leave the house for a couple of days. So in that process of taking out time to have space and have time out with just themselves, how do we differentiate between having space for yourself to think and reflect and emotional withdrawal?
When it comes to conflict resolution in marriage, per se, when we talk about the space and the withdrawal, they are totally two different things. When there is a conflict, it is not right. Let me state it very over. It is not right that there is a conflict and you withdraw from your partner. It's not right. You are just setting the stage for the enemy to step in. So we are in disagreement, but that does not change your name from Love to Mr. Sunday. Praise God. Yeah, that does not change it, right? But it goes as far as that for some persons. Like when I was single, I was, if you just irritate me or you say something that is off it, I'll just look at you and say, bros, how far? Like, what is it? It so happened that I had to consciously start telling myself, because my husband then, my fiance, noticed that anytime we have a clash, he's like, I will just change it and say bros. Like, I'm not your bros. It was like, I'm not your bros. But you know that switch, if I did not watch it in marriage, I would have been
Doing it the
doing,
same way
in
too.
fact, a higher version of it. It's not the same, cannot remain the same. It's progressive.
See, bro.
It's a higher version of it that I would have started, manifesting in the house. But when he kept pointing my attention to it, I'm like, there are sometimes that I would have said, and I'm like, well, okay, baby, it's not the way it is. But my normal self there, bros,
Bros.
because there was one that was bad. It's uncle, uncle.
Really?
Yeah, it was that bad. Yeah, but it's not good that you withdraw, or you begin to dishonor your partner because you are in
Hmm.
conflict. As a woman, if you are in conflict with your husband, that does not mean, as a wife, that does not mean you would not serve your husband the way you serve him food. The food is
Yes.
in microwave. If you are hungry, go and pick it.
Ouch.
That's rude. That's dishonoring the man, and that's not how it should be done. You get? That's not having a safe space. As a matter of fact, the more you delay on resolving conflicts, the harder it is for you to actually resolve it. Because the more you withdraw to yourself, the more the enemy will begin to whisper, you see, he treated you this way. And this is a practical thing, a very practical thing. That's why some persons get into a relationship and they have a conversation with their partner A husband and a wife had a conversation. The man just um walks out of the house, maybe forgot to give you a parting kiss or a hug, and you begin to wonder, did I offend him? Or did I not say good morning enough today? Why did he snub me? Why the enemy will begin to introduce a lot of thoughts to you. And if you don't pick your phone and call, and babe, you didn't pick, you didn't even give me a peck as you were going. I didn't know you were going out. Where are you? The enemy will begin to tell you, see, he's talking to somebody else. That's
Mm.
why you are not so important. That's the enemy. And that's because you have allowed the delay tactics. Okay, let me give him a space. Let me have my space. In marriage, you don't have a space. It's our space.
Two have become one.
It's our space. So if there is conflict, let's resolve it in our space. There are quite a number of people in my house, but when we have issues, we resolve it in our space without allowing interference or
Third party
affect let's affect the people in the house with our
problem.
conflicts. No, they don't even have to know. They don't even know when we have conflicts because we resolve it in our space. So I don't really buy the idea of taking space, except in a case. Now this is for unbelievers, of course, because I don't believe that you'll be a born again Christian and as a married man you have issues and you're slapping your wife,
Mm.
or you
Abuse.
or you have issues with your husband and you are abusing him emotionally or sexually, or there are many abuse. Men also go through abuse, not just women. Not just women. Some women, they would intentionally sexually, let's say, they'll sexually abuse the man, in the sense that they know his need and they know how he comes to them for the need, and they are waiting at that junction. I will show you people. That's an abuse. And that's what some people use to actually to make their points clear and known, that I am angry. That's why I'm not giving in. I'm angry. That's why I'm not talking to you. There's a place of, oh, I want to process this thing that just happened. And that will not take up to an hour. Processing what happened should not take up to a day. Like some people want to go days without actually resolving the issue. They say they need their space, they need to clear their head. Until clear your head, but don't use days
A long
and
time.
months to clear your head, because the devil is always going back and forth seeking for whom to devour. If you give him a foothold, he will take over your paradise. And so that's
Definitely.
why the Lord told us should not give him a foothold. That foothold is, don't allow your anger to be so lengthy. You can get angry, but resolve within yourself. I'm not going to stay angry for this long because I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Your head is not a market now. You don't need the full day to bring it back to order. So yes, there's a place for safety in
Okay.
having your space. And you have your space. For the unbeliever, your husband can be beating you. You can take a space, a break. If it's abusive, physical
Physically.
abuse, take a break. Take a break. In fact, if you have to leave the house, leave the house.
Yeah.
Leave the house so that you'll be able to be in the right frame of mind to communicate better.
Okay, I feel like one of the reasons why people hold on to anger, hold on to hurt, why they always want to blame the other person, or why they are always defensive, is because of pride.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you mentioned something at the beginning about self. So this drive to want to satisfy themselves even at the expense of their spouse, sometimes it just prolongs conflict. So I want to know, how does humility change the way people handle conflict in their relationship?
So, well, it's changed. It's, let's say, with 100% mindset of we are resolving this thing and we are not fighting each other. And so, like I said, the cause is actually pride, and pride is the direct opposite of humility. There are so many conflicts that would not even surface if humility is in place. Yeah, like the example you started with, toothpaste. It's not a challenge in my home again because I
You
don't see it
resolve it.
as it's not bruising my ego. I'm not seeing it like stepping on my toes. Another thing is that humility can play in is seeing your partner um that your partner loves you as a wife, believe your husband loves you and he will not do anything to intentionally hurt
Okay.
you. So that humble thinking or thought towards your partner will help you a lot of times. So even when they do something that really hurts, that thought about them would calm the vexation inside of you. And you might just mention it to them and immediately they will apologize. Many times we just assume that this man is just wicked, this woman is just being wicked, and that's why the conflict keeps stirring up, stirring up, stirring up. If he's not wicked, why did he do this, knowing that it hurts me? For example, my husband is just wicked if he buys what I don't like. And full, for example, the fridge now is stocked up with all manner of soda drinks, and I don't take soda. And I begin to think that my husband hates me. That's why he's buying
Doesn't
soda.
care about
He doesn't
me.
care about me. That's why he didn't buy me yogurt. He didn't ask me what I would want, and he just went ahead to, you know. But the moment I discard that conception in my mind of he doesn't, he's wicked, I see that my husband is loving. He loves me. You give excuse for anything that happens until you are able to talk it over with that person. And in talking, humility actually will make you to be softer in your conversation.
Definitely. I believe
No
that.
matter how loud you are, humility will help you to talk in a soft tone. When I want to resolve issue, it's not this kind of voice I use. Yes. So when I want to resolve issue with my husband, when there's a challenge or when there's something I need us to just agree and discuss on, it's not the voice of the outside that you are shouting, hey, do this, hey. That's not what
Mm.
you use. Understand? You come to, understand that this person also deserve my honor, deserves my respect. So if you are respectful, you honor your husband, and that humility will reflect in your conversation in resolving conflicts.
Mm. Humility is actually very important because besides the fact that it helps us resolve conflicts, it helps us see from the other person's perspective. So instead of just shouting at this person, now why did you do this in this way? That humbleness of mind will just make you feel, will just make you make an excuse for the person. Like, it's possible that it's not because he doesn't love me. It's possible that he probably forgot that I like you, God. That's why I didn't buy it. So I have just a few questions for you before I let you go. So the next question I'd like to ask is that sometimes conflicts keep repeating themselves, and these are conflicts that we keep resolving every time. And so somebody said something about conflicts revealing our character to us. So I don't know how does conflict actually reveal our character to us?
For that, I would say that's the conflict that leads to growth that we
Okay,
started
we
with,
start, yeah.
because it actually helps you to understand the other person better. If you keep avoiding conflicts, your partner will not know what you truly want. And
Mm,
if they don't know what you truly want, they'll keep doing what they want, which it is 100% sure that you will not be cool with all the time.
mm,
And that conflict comes from the point where, like the last one we just talked about, you begin to feel that, oh, this person does not have me in mind. This person doesn't love me. And that's why I had there was a couple that got married. Few months into the marriage, the wife was crying at home. The man was at work. She didn't even know. There was no idea because she felt that the man just woke up, ate the remaining leftover food, and left the house without asking her what she would eat, without making provisions like a new wife would
yeah.
expect. My husband should do this, and she was new to the environment, so she sat there in the house without eating throughout the day until he came back from work, and she was crying her heart out. And amazingly, I told the lady, I said, you did not call me. You'd have called me, let me bring buckets. So you cry and fill the bucket. Because at that stage, I'm not like, but she felt something in her heart that the
Yeah.
man was unfair. Man was wicked. No, why will he eat the remaining, just like you ate the piece of bread remaining in the house,
And you
and you
now
left it
left
empty,
that I
and there
won't
was
speak
a full
anymore.
human being in the house that needs to eat. So she felt that the man was not kind towards her. That's a new couple. So it happens that way. So it's something that one needs to actually watch, that you understand your partner. Conflict leads to communication. There are some couples that I know that the partners have to create a conflict for them to have a conversation. Yes.
Please unpack that.
Like you have to, it's more or less like a wife have to, you know, do something to spark up the action of her husband to cause a fight so that they can finally have time to discuss,
Wow.
because they would not have the time normally to sit down and discuss, because the man is always busy, work here, work there, and all of that. So when you create time for concrete conversation in marriage, it will it will cut down on conflicts. Some of those conflicts actually comes from lack of attention. It comes from
Really?
little or no communications between partners. And so you don't know what your partner expects. You don't know what they want. I realized that in marriage, one of the first things that causes conflict, even before any other thing, their expectation. So when I counsel people premarital counseling, I tell them I'm not asking you to not have expectation, but don't have unrealistic
Expectations.
expectations. Cut down on your expectation. Let your expectation be basic that anybody can satisfy. If you have it that way, you would have less conflict after you get married. If the man does beyond your expectation, it's a wow. But if he goes below your expectation, there's a problem. So that's it.
Thank you so much. I really have to let you go now,
Thank
but
you.
because really you've done a lot for us today. So one way I would like for us to wrap up this conversation, I want for you to just tell our viewers, for people who grew around unhealthy conflict, so what's your advice for them as they learn new methods of handling conflict the right way?
Okay. Well, for whoever grew up in a toxic environment and that doesn't know how to, resolve conflicts, one thing I would say to you is grow up, grow up. The environment should not define you, because we have all the resources that we need online, in books. Get to have right association. Cut away from those kind of people that you grew up with that did not allow you to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And get yourself a good friend. Get books, study. It's a discipline. It's not an impartation. So it's not something that I will say, okay, come for this service or fast, or pray. You can pray. Prayer will support your discipline. But above all, study. Book transforms your mind.
Oh yes.
It transforms your mind. And one thing I would say is the things that you expose your mind to would form your thought patterns, and your thought patterns forms your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Your action becomes a habit that you develop and becomes a character that you portray out there. And so yes, it is because of the education of the environment that you find yourself that you are the way you are. You can't re-educate yourself.
Yes, you can do
You
better than
can
them.
re-educate yourself. That's why I said grow up. When you grow up, you re-educate yourself with books, with relationships. Be humble to learn from others. Be humble enough to learn from others. That's what I would say to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, really. And so, our dearest viewers, we really appreciate your time. We thank you for staying with us up to this point. And if you were really blessed by this session, one way you can show your support for us, one way you can encourage us is by clicking on that subscribe button. Thank you. And till I come your way again next time, I remain your host, Goodness Aliu. See ya.